Welcome back to another episode of the Girl Boss Brand podcast. I'm your host, Satara Brown, and every week I'm taking you behind the scenes of what it really takes to bet on yourself. Before we get started, as always, make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, the Girl Boss Brand, and give us a like. I want to see in the comments who did their homework from last week. So make sure you leave a comment about if you cleaned out your closet, because at this point, something should be moved around. But welcome back to another week. So grateful that you're here. Every single time I get ready to record, I toy back and forth with the idea of, am I gonna spill some tea about what I've gone through as an entrepreneur in business for the last 11 years? Or am I gonna speak more to the wellness field? Or am I going to give some encouragement, or do all three? And I always try to just tie in all three. And continuing the conversation from last week, what came to mind is that you can't build a new life with the old standard. You cleared the closet out, but you're still thinking the same. You still have the same old habits. You're hanging around the same people, and you're still using those same excuses. I know for me, I stopped eating meat at the end of last year. And before that, I only consumed chicken and turkey. And I thought like I was like this wellness girly, fitness girly. I was going to the gym. I was being consistent. But I was still experiencing health problems. And what the new standard of my life looked like was no longer consuming meat. I just went cold turkey and I stopped consuming meat the same way that a year prior to that, I stopped consuming alcohol. Because if I am waking up every day and telling myself that I live this wellness life and this fitness life, there's just certain things that you have to let go. And if you don't let those things go, you will never be in alignment. And a lot of us, we operate based off of our feelings. And alignment isn't a feeling, it's a decision. You're not waiting to feel ready. You have to choose differently first, and then your feelings will follow. Because most women stay in cycles because they move off of emotions, not decisions. So today is the day that you are going to make that decision to let something go. And I promise you, 6 months from now, if you stay disciplined, if you stay committed, you will feel so much better. Because your current life reflects your current standards. And it's so easy for us to get online, say what our standards are. I'm not tolerating this. I'm not tolerating that. Get on the phone with our friends and say, I'm built for this, I'm built for that. But it's really about what you accept in your life and what you normalize. So are you normalizing all those bad habits that you used to indulge in? For me, I gave up drinking, but I was still smoking hookah. And smoking hookah is like, what is it? Like equivalent to smoking 7 cigarettes? Like, you are asking yourself to die. How can you be in the gym in the morning and you're lightheaded the night before? It just doesn't make sense. And for me, I'm laughing, but like for me, I would like be like, okay, well, I'm not smoking hookah every single day. So it's cool because I had like portable hookahs. I had the hookahs in my house. Like, it was lit. It was a club. We were in Miami. No, there's no way I could be the wellness girly. And that's why my stomach was still a little pudgy. Like, my stomach is flat now because I was drinking alcohol and I was drinking juice and I was doing things that were not aligned with the lifestyle that I wanted to live. So when I let go of those things, there was a difference. And even with toying with letting go of the hookah, I would be like, all right, well, we're just going to go smoke some hookah. And I wasn't even finding any enjoyment in it anymore. Think about all of the things that you are currently doing that you no longer enjoy, like the spaces that you're in, the environments, the people that you're around. Every time you get around these people, you're like, I knew I shouldn't have came out. like, it's past my bedtime. I don't come out after 11 o'clock. I am no longer in the party scene. I am no longer looking forward to brunches that have unlimited mimosas. Like, this just does not fit my standard. And I think for a lot of us, it's something that we grieve, something that we mourn. Becoming her requires loss. And loss can look so differently across so many different boards in your personal life, in your professional life, in your actual business, how it just shows up on a daily basis. You're going to outgrow people. You're going to outgrow habits. You're going to outgrow things that have made you feel comfortable. And something for me, in the old version of myself, the old way that I operated, the standard that I used to have for myself, and things that were acceptable. I mean, when I became an entrepreneur, I always say that I became an entrepreneur on accident, because I didn't wake up and say, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to be an entrepreneur. I started a nonprofit without knowing what a nonprofit was. This was 11 years ago. I just wanted to do good for the community, and I wanted to give back. And people were like, what's your name? And I was like, I got to come up with the name. So I've asked friends, and we came up with Rebuilding Our Children and Community, Inc., because the mission was to rebuild our children and our community by providing necessary resources to enhance the quality of life of the residents of the area. And with that being said, I was new to this whole entrepreneur lane. Like, my parents, they have tried, and I don't want to say they failed, because what is failure, right? They tried, and they were not. I didn't grow up with parents who were entrepreneurs, family members who were entrepreneurs or business owners. And I was just winging it. I was really, really winging it. And I was just going based off of what I knew and what I thought was right and what I Googled. Because at this time, back then, we didn't have ChatGPT or any kind of AI tools. So I was running a race that I could never win, because I didn't have the proper tools. I didn't have a mentor, and I was just doing what I thought was right. And you could think that you have the best idea. You can think that what you're doing things from the kindness of your heart, and what you're doing is the right thing to do. But there's rules, regulations, standards, laws for everything. And if you're unaware, you're unaware. You don't know what you don't know. So I ran into a lot of trouble because I was new to that area, and I just didn't know. And there's a lot of fires I had to put out. I went from having a nonprofit that provided different events to the community, and we did that for a good 3 years. I was just getting my feet wet. I felt like I had to earn my keep. I felt like I had to get my name out there. I felt like I wasn't deserving of receiving any funding, because I had to prove myself. And I don't know if that feeling, because we spoke about feelings, right? I don't know if that feeling derived from being a young woman of color, a young Black woman, always having to prove myself. I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. I went to a predominantly white school where in most of my classes, I was one of two people of color. So there was always this angle and aspect of my life that I had to prove myself to be where I was and in the rooms that I was in from a very small age. And I guess that's a feeling, right? So off the rip, I felt like I didn't deserve any money, so I had to prove myself. I was out there hustling. Like, I was out there. I was going to all these different events. I was tabling everywhere. I was at every single community event every weekend while I was working full time. At one point, when I first started all of this, I was living in a different city. So I would drive an hour and a half every weekend, come down. And then I finally felt like, okay, I'm deserving of something because I've made my mark. Started a summer camp. I didn't know what I was doing. And when I started the summer camp, I was working full-time as the marketing director of a law firm. And I had to charge the parents because I'm like, okay, I'm going to need staff. And we need some activities for the kids. So I do need some type of money. And the parents paid. And then we finally got a grant. And then we got a whole bunch of grants after that. And that was the start of it. But the way I was operating, I was hustling. And if you're a business owner, hustle culture is canceled. You cannot hustle in business. I mean, you can, right? Because I did, and I did for a very long time, but it only got me but so far. When you are a business owner, you have to show up every single day and you have to operate as such. And the point that I'm making is I had to lose all of those bad habits that I've had in the past that I operated that provided me with the success of securing over $500,000 in funding. I had to unlearn all of the bad habits that contributed to me not being good at reporting, to me not being good at paperwork and admin, to me juggling way too much, to me giving way more than what I was receiving, to me operating as an individual, as a nonprofit, other than me operating as an individual who runs a nonprofit, right? Because a nonprofit is a business. So all of these habits that I've had wearing on my back for 10 plus years, I have to slowly unlearn. And if I don't, I'm just going to be hustling in my consulting business, right? I've had my consulting business for the last 6 years, and now I'm full time for the first time ever. And it looks totally different. The way that I pour into my consulting business is totally different than the way that I have operated in any space in my nonprofit, to the point I'm not staying up all night working on things for my consulting business. I have to have a balance. I have to set a new standard of my life between health and wellness and working, right? And what does that look like? That means that I have to sleep comfortably at night in order to nourish my brain so that I can get up and do the work. I need to go to yoga a couple of times a week. I need to move my body and exercise. I need to make sure that I'm eating. I can't operate in this hustle culture anymore because I've done it and I saw the outcome of it. And although it got me far, there's a ceiling to that, right? And I want to break through and surpass that ceiling. So, it's outgrowing those habits. And I say it all the time, and I really mean it. I'm delusional, right? You have to start acting like her before it's comfortable. Like, I wake up every day, and my friends will tell you, the people who I talk to, they will tell you, like, I am super confident. I am super into affirmations. I write things down. I read them to myself. I talk to myself. I speak highly of the life that I know is destined for me. And although I might not have the white picket fence and the family and everything else that I want right now, but for 34-year-old me and where I'm at, it's exactly the life that I spoke into existence a few years ago. I have the freedom. I have the health. I have, the mindset and the discipline to do whatever it is that I want to do. And you have to ask yourself and you have to think, like, how does this person move daily? How does this person speak? What does she not entertain anymore? You have to identify these things and then the results will come. And it's not easy work. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not something that, the light bulb goes off and there's a switch. It's something that you have to constantly build on. And, for me and my consulting business, I helped all these businesses and I sold through Girl Boss. Girl Boss was birthed through the consulting business. I sold all of this merch, right? But I wasn't consistent. And I'm like, well, what is going to help me become consistent? Oh, bingo. One thing is I keep trying to do everything myself. And that's like something that I have to unlearn. You can't do everything yourself. You cannot be every single role. And in my nonprofit, I was everything. I was the grant writer. I was the internship volunteer coordinator. I was the program director. I was the janitor. I was the counselor. I was everything. I was the transportation driver. I was literally everything, and I burnt out quickly. And if you are looking to create generational wealth, if you're looking to be here for the long run, you have to operate as a business. It's not about you. You have to put systems in place. So now, fast forward where I am, I'm so forward thinking because I no longer want to be stuck in that trap that I got in with my nonprofit. A lot of people say, why don't you just do your nonprofit? They don't know there's a lot of mess, which is for another episode, right? There's a lot of mess that needs to be cleaned up in my nonprofit because I missed out on steps when there were things that needed to be done. There's like administrative things that I overlooked because I was so busy doing this, and that. I don't regret any of the decisions that I made because everything was a learning experience, but there's a lot of things that this go around I would do differently. And that's why when I consult with other nonprofit organizations, I take all of these tools, all of the wins, all of the losses, all of the good things, all of the things that have went haywire, and I zone in on those things so that I can better assist other people and their teams and their visions in fulfilling their mission, which is to make the world a better place, right? So when I'm speaking with my new staff members, shout out to my new team members for SB Consulting Firm. This is my first time hiring team members, so it's a very, very exciting time. And the two young ladies that I have the honor of working with, I'm always forward thinking when I'm talking to them. I'm like, what does this look like 6 months from now? What does this look like 1 year from now, right? So I just onboarded both of you. Awesome, great. But there's going to be a time where it's just not three of us, right? So we are like the founding members, like shout out to the founding girl bosses, right? But we have to always be thinking about the future and what is to come. So what does a full department look like, right? Are we creating SOPs, right? Standard operating procedures. How, if someone else had to come in because you're on maternity leave or you're injured or you're no longer interested in this role and you moved on to something else, how are they going to know what to do in this business, right? Am I going to have to go and like retrain them again? What does training look like? So putting all of these systems in place is super, super, super essential. And it goes back to like becoming the person that I want to be, becoming the agency that I'm going to grow to be. I was saying that I have an agency before I even had an agency. I didn't even know what an agency was. I'm like, what is an agency? What's the difference between a consulting business and a consulting agency? I had to get on the phone with my brother, and he does consulting, he does this, he does that, and he had to break it down to me, right? Because I was like Googling and I'm like, this is not making sense. But I knew I had an agency, and here we are, right? We're still called SB Consulting Firm, but don't worry, the name will catch up. It will get to where it needs to be. But that point of speaking things into existence, you have to move, you have to act, you have to portray the person that you want to be, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your life, or whatever it is. So just think of that as you're moving through your business. Maybe you have not started selling those products yet and you just have an idea. You don't just have an idea. You have that $1 million business that's going to come to fruition. You might have a service business and you might want to tweak different services that you offer. You have to be forward thinking in how can I scale this from where I am now to where I want to be, and what is the ultimate goal? If it's to have freedom, so you no longer have to have a 9-to-5, what does that look like? If you want to have a nonprofit and you want to be full-time in your nonprofit, how much money needs to be raised so that you could take care of the kids or the whoever, the community members that you're looking to take care of? But how can you also have a sustainable lifestyle? If you leave your job and you want to be full-time somewhere, you need to have insurance. So what are you doing to ensure that you can have insurance through your nonprofit or your consulting business? So these are things that I think of on a daily basis, and they're very, very intricate into creating the life that is destined for you. If you're serious about becoming her, then your life has to start reflecting that now. Not next month, not when it's perfect, but now. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Girl Boss Brand Podcast, and we'll see you next week.